Welcome back to AM Sports Cover 4, and we do have breaking news. Now, many of you are familiar with the fact that the Florida State Seminoles filed a lawsuit against the ACC in Leon County this past December, stating that the grant of rights were unenforceable. Now, many schools have had a desire to get out of the ACC, but by far, Florida State has been the loudest. Now, we know Florida State is the biggest brand in the ACC, if you exclude Notre Dame, which I do because I don't really feel like they're a full member. So Florida State is the biggest brand in the ACC, and they have led the way in terms of being vocal with their displeasure with the ACC and their performance relative to other conferences and the payouts that have been received for schools in the ACC. Now, we know that there were many schools, of course, that wanted to get out of the ACC as well. Those schools supposedly sounded like at one point they were going to band together and attempt to break the grant of rights through a majority 50% vote, which was all that was required in order to break the grant of rights. But if I'm not mistaken, it was North Carolina State which rescinded their support to those group of schools, and therefore they were unable to break the grant of rights. But not only that, North Carolina State voted, if I'm not mistaken, it might have been Miami as well, but North Carolina State voted to bring in some of those Pac-12 schools that I don't want to be rude to the Pac-12 schools, so let me not say that. But anyway, Florida State had to take a different path at that point, so they filed their lawsuit against the ACC in Leon County, and here we are today. Well, we've always thought that Clemson was the other school that was walking lockstep with Florida State, right? Clemson is the other huge football brand within the ACC, and you would think, you would have to imagine that Clemson wants to get out of the ACC just as bad, but we had not heard anything from the Clemson Tigers until today. Clemson has filed their own lawsuit against the ACC, citing that the grant of rights prevents them from pursuing strategic opportunities that are in the best interest of Clemson and will keep them competitive in collegiate sports. So Clemson has joined the fray. Now, it's interesting that Clemson has decided to jump into a lawsuit with the ACC, because if I'm Clemson and Florida State has already stepped into that lawsuit, why would I then step into my own lawsuit, right? Because I want to see how everything plays out with the ACC in Florida State, right? The thing that is on my mind and makes me wonder is I believe that Florida State case is much stronger than what people initially thought it would be. Personally, that's what I thought. And I'm believing now that Clemson believes the same thing. And that is the reason why Clemson is willing to go ahead and file that lawsuit. When you think about the lawsuit currently with Florida State, they have a number of avenues that they can go down. They've claimed fraud with Swofford and his whole family. When you look at the grant of rights and their ability to freely trade, if you will, is restrictive and could be deemed as restrictive based off of the laws of Florida. Therefore, they could get out from the grant of rights in that manner. The fact that the ACC did not follow their own rules in terms of filing a lawsuit is another avenue that they can use to try to get out of the grant of rights. I mean, there has to be about 10 different paths that Florida State can use to get out of the grant of rights. So their case is a lot stronger than what I originally thought. Then when you think about, there are a number of cases that are coming up here, or a number of court hearings that are coming up here in the near future, one in April and one in March, I think actually on March 22nd. One is in Leon County, one is in, I believe the county is called Mecklenburg in North Carolina, that is going to determine venue and disclosure. You would think that if I'm Clemson, I'm going to sit back and wait and figure out what's going to happen here, because if the ACC is able to get venue like they did against Maryland, then the lawsuit that I'm filing in my own state, maybe that might not go as well as I might have thought, right? So I would sit back, wait, see how these things play out, but they've already filed their lawsuit. So clearly they believe that Florida State has an extremely strong case. But not only that, I think Clemson is trying to position themselves so that they can get out of the ACC about around the same time as Florida State, which some people are speculating will be 26 or 27. I'm hoping it's going to be a little bit sooner than that, but we'll see. These court dates that are coming up are going to be critical in terms of deciding whether or not, because if Florida State gets venue, oh man, I think ACC is going to come to the negotiating table really quickly, because I don't think they have a chance in hell in Florida, and they could end up getting nothing. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. But Clemson, the other major football brand, they're just interested in getting out. And you got the ACC, to me personally, did not do their job. I agree with Florida State. I don't believe that they did their job, and right now it's untenable. They cannot stay in the ACC. There's no way possible that Florida State, Clemson, or any brand that's worth a damn can stay in the ACC. So I'm talking about North Carolina. I'm talking about Clemson. I'm talking about Florida State. I'm talking about Notre Dame. And I guess I'll include the Miami Hurricanes in that as well. But the fact remains is that they're going to have to do something. And Florida State has led the way. Again, they are big brother in this situation, being the biggest brand in the ACC. And with Clemson joining in, you have to believe that the ACC is done. They're done. The ACC as we know it today is over. It's done. We're going to have two super conferences, and eventually they're going to break off from the NCAA. They're going to form their own football league, if you will, from a collegiate standpoint. They will have their own commissioners. Players will get paid directly from the schools. That's where we're heading, and we'll be there before you know it. So I'm excited. I'm interested in seeing where these teams end up. It's just another step in college football realignment. And it needs to happen sooner rather than later, because you have some major brands over there in the ACC, the Notre Dames, the Miamis, the Florida States, the UNCs, all these schools that are major brands that need to be in some of these mega conferences, so we can see college football move forward in the direction that we know ultimately is going to end up. So you guys tell me what you think in the comments section. Clemson suing the ACC. Big news on the horizon. ACC won't be around much longer in its current form. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is AM Sports Cover 4, and I am out.